My name's Adam Manaka and I'm the Financial Controller for Hi-Tech Oils. With our national capacity, we can now service Australian companies nationwide. Of late, we have now expanded into the New Zealand market. Here at Hi-Tech Oils, we receive premium base oils and premium additive packs. Together, with our highly trained staff, we manufacture over 500 premium quality products. Hi-Tech Oils is Australian made and Australian owned.
Welcome once again to a wet and dreary looking Sydney Motorsport Park for the final round of the Swann Super Series for 2017. Our championship battles in the Superbike, Supersport and AmSport 600 classes have all been run and won, and now it's time for our support categories to hit the tarmac. First up on today's program is the Shock Treatment 400 Supersports, and with double points on offer, the title fight remains quite close. As we take a look at the points, KTM's Max Croker remains the series leader, despite failing to finish in the final race of round 5. The lead between himself and second-placed Hunter Ford is only 37 points, whilst Kawasaki's Yanni Shaw remains mathematically in contention in third, but would need the top two to falter if he is to win the championship. Riders are on the track for the first of 3 races, and not only is there a championship up for grabs, there's also a brand new KTM RC390 waiting in the wings for the series champion, courtesy of KTM Australia. So, without further ado, here's the grid. The front row is occupied by championship protagonists in Hunter Ford, Max Croker and Yanni Shaw. Row 2 is filled out by Dan Thomas, Mitchell Kuhn and Ryan Sellen. Keogh Watson leads the third row on his KTM alongside the Kawasaki's of Andrew Edzer and Trent Thompson. Whilst on the fourth row we have Brad Burt, Alex Smith and Shani Pinfold. Row 5 sees Robert Penman, Greg Burt and Lionel Bennett, with Julie Clinker, Cameron Shaw and Nicholas Cargo starting off row 6. Zane Ford and Scott Chapman complete the field on the final row.
Here we go, race 1 of Shock Treatment 400 Supersport. Who will it be that leads the field down into turn number 1? We're about to find out. A little bit circumspect for some, but not for others. Looking for a good start there is Andrew Edzer on the inside, but I think you'll find that it was Hunter Ford that ends up taking up the running.
Yeah, no, I think it was Max Crocker there.
Too.
See, he's got using the grunt of that 390 machine, the single cylinder KTM. So Max Crocker's in second spot. So Yanni Shaw's there as well in third. So it's they're all spreading out through the field. Here comes Ryan Sellen up the inside, trying to get up the inside of that's Yanni Shaw, but that's young Dan Thomas, who's got a flyer of a start.
Yeah, it looks like Thomas in second, Shaw in third, Sellen in fourth, but none better, as you mentioned, than Max Crocker on that KTM 390. Here comes Yanni Shaw up the inside of Dan Thomas, down into Dunlop Sportsbacks. Look at the lead that 41 Max Crocker has over the rest of the field, and we're not even halfway through lap 1.
Almost 3 seconds he's got over the rest of the field at the moment there, Lance, with the rest of the field covered by about 1 second, but Max Crocker definitely on fire for the start of this race.
Max Crocker, Dan Thomas, Yanni Shaw, Ryan Sellen, Hunter Ford, they are your top 5 heading out of turn 6. bikebiz.com.au through 7 and 8 for the rundown into Freight Links Transport.
Yes, Yanni Shaw, they're getting the better of young Danny Thomas on his Yamaha there. The 300cc little ninja of Yanni Shaw now into second spot on the grid. Danny Thomas having a big look behind him. Ryan Sellen on his Kawasaki there, but Hunter Ford, he's been relegated down to 5th position.
Uncharacteristic for him to be so far back. So at the moment it is KTM leading Kawasaki, then Yamaha, followed by Kawasaki. This man on screen, 310, Ryan Sellen on the Moto Hub Security Solutions, Kawasaki Ninja 300.
Yeah, double duties for him as well there, Lance, riding in the 600 Supersports. But a lot of track time this weekend for Ryan Sellen. But Max Crocker, 7 seconds after one lap.
Goodness gracious me, what a blinder of a start. We can tell you it's legitimate too. We've had no notification about a jump start either, Tim.
No, it would look very close, but I think it was just a very good start, Lance.
Here comes Dan Thomas up the inside of Selen again as they get over the top of bikehaggle.com.au. Selen was balked enough now for the opportunity of Yanni Shaw up the inside in Dunlop Sports Max. He's done a great job as well. They're chopping and swapping places like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah, Selen loses 2 places in that one corner there, so he's struggling there. Here comes Yanni Shaw trying to get up the inside of young Dan Thomas. Can't quite do it at the moment.
You could be forgiven for the fact, except of 17-second gap, that this is the battle for first. Our race leader 17 seconds in front of this.
Yes, with 3.5 laps remaining. So that's only after 2.5 laps there, Lance, and he's got a 17-second lead.
Well, 2 of the outstanding riders of 3 in this class yesterday are battling it out for 2nd and 3rd place. They are Dan Thomas and Yanni Shaw. That's taking nothing away from the talent or the abilities of Ryan Selen back there as the 3rd of this trio of riders. But certainly yesterday, 2 youngsters came to their own, didn't they, in terms of Dan Thomas and Yanni Shaw.
Yeah, 20-second lead now from the rest of the field has Max Croker as the other 2. He's at the end of the Swann Insurance main straight with the other riders just coming onto the Swann Insurance main straight.
A 1,000 metre or 1 kilometre lead over the rest of the field. Ryan Selen slipstreaming Yanni Shaw and Dan Thomas. Now takes up the running. Here comes Shaw back up the inside, gets a narrower exit on turn 1 out of Races World down into Motorsport Park, Sydney Motorsport Park Ride Days turn 2. Selen trying to challenge back again, can't do it. Yanni Shaw now into 2nd place. Ryan Selen 3rd. This time it's Dan Thomas's turn to sit back and watch.
Yeah, so Dan Thomas has been wriggled into 3rd. Fourth. So I forgot all about Max Croker. He's so far ahead, up to 23-second lead now.
Selen covering his tracks very well, almost kneeing his opponent on the outside. There was Yanni Shaw, gets a drive around Dunlop, and he takes up the running of 2nd place at the moment. This is the final lap. It is out of turn 5, Dunlop Sports Max, and you can see Yanni Shaw. He's jostling to the inside there. He knows that Ryan Selen is strong through bikebiz.com.au. He covers his tracks very well, Tim.
Yes, a good manoeuvre there by Yanni Shaw to get 2nd place, but here comes Max Croker on the KTM coming down to the Sydney Motorsport Park, Swann Insurance main straight, and a dominant win over 30 seconds in the lead.
31 and a bit seconds ahead of the rest of the field. An absolute canter for Croker to take this one out on his RC390. 33.5 seconds ahead of Yanni Shaw, only just ahead of Ryan Selen. Dan Thomas in P4 with Hunter Ford a fair bit further back in 5th. Andrew Edser, Trent Thompson, Mitchell Kuhn, Shani Pinfold again, the leading lady on her Yamaha R3, finishing ahead of Keogh Watson in 10th place.
Yeah, no, I felt great on the bike. The KTM was working fantastic all race, and yeah, I'm just really comfortable coming from a dirt track background and also a speedway background, but no, it was a fantastic race, so I quite like this weather.
Well, the conditions in the opening race suited Max Croker really nicely, and by the time race 2 rolled around, it was mostly dry. Like the opening race, he jumped away from his opposition and was streets ahead as they negotiated turn 1. Behind them, though, the battle for 2nd was intense as Ryan Selen, Yanni Shaw and Andrew Edser, as well as Keogh Watson, battled fiercely in the opening few corners. By Dunlop Sports Max turn 5, they all tagged onto the tail of Croker's KTM, and the battle for the lead was on in earnest. For Mitchell Kuhn, however, his race ended on the opening lap when he crashed out at the same corner that brought him undone in round 5. Half a lap later, Max Croker's mechanical troubles returned as they completed the opening lap, forcing him into retirement. This meant that Croker would not be able to clinch the championship in this race unless Ford and Shaw were struck down with dramas. This elevated Shaw and his BC Performance Kawasaki into the lead, and he managed to fend off the efforts of Watson, Selen and Ford as the race progressed. The Kawasaki rider would eventually break away and clear out into a comfortable lead, leaving Watson, Selen and Ford to duke it out in the remaining laps. This was vitally important for the Yamaha back Ford, who swapped bikes shortly before the race start, knowing how vital the title was at stake. In the end, no one could beat Yanni Shaw and his BC Performance Kawasaki, taking his first win in the class. Watson would take a hard-fought second, with Selen claiming third. Ford would unfortunately be excluded post-race for his late race bike swap. So here's how they line up for the final race of the season, with the title still up for grabs. Yanni Shaw will lead the field off the front row from Keogh Watson and Ryan Selen. Row 2 has Dan Thomas, Andrew Edzer and Robert Penman. Shani Penfold leads the way on row 3 with Lionel Bennett and Trent Thompson, while Scott Chapman, Andy Stagg and Zane Ford occupy the 4th row. The next 2 rows feature Alex Smith and the Burts of Greg and Brad, then Nicholas Cargo, Cameron Shaw and Max Croker, who starts a lowly 18th. Mitchell Kuhn and Hunter Ford, however, complete the field on the final row.
And there's a great start there by Yanni Shaw there, Lance, and Keogh Watson on his KTM, so it's going to be Keogh Watson to get into turn 1 for the first time into Races World turn 1.
Yeah, Dan Thomas a little bit further back there doing a good job as well to get up into 4th place. Keogh Watson though, here comes Ryan Selen. Look at Dan Thompson round the outside trying to get to the better of them. Can only manage 1 place though.
Yes, it's a good start there by Ryan Selen on his Ninja 300, but here comes Keogh. Yanni Shaw's just got the better of Danny Thomas, so it's Edzer behind them, then Penman, Penfold, Bennett and Thompson. So it's Max Crocker is already up to 5th position.
Not a bad effort, is it?
From the rear of the grid, he's up to 5th position from dead last, and in half a lap. So he's flying, isn't he?
He's not trying very hard at all, is he?
No, there he is. Now he's moved into 3rd position. That's coming through Bike Biz turn 6. Bikebiz.com.au, but so the speed he's going, he'll be in the lead sooner rather than later.
Well, I think our front few runners will try and have an answer for that one. Keogh Watson, one of them, he's trying very, very hard indeed back there in 3rd place, but slicing through the field like a knife through butter. Oh, getting a little bit squirrely there. I think he got hit by Hunter Ford.
He went really wide there, lost to the back end of that KTM machine, so it looks like it's Yanni Shaw now. It just got overtaken by Max Crocker, so rear of the grid, dead last to 1st in less than a lap.
Well, there you go. 3.93 kilometres long is this circuit. I think probably 2.93 kilometres is all it took him, because there's still the length of the main straight to go for him as he gets down there in front of Yanni Shaw. Yanni Shaw's not going to take it lying down though, is he?
Well, look at these two. Ryan Selen leaning on Danny Thomas there, but coming through Races World turn 1 for the second time. But look at Max and Yanni going through here into Sydney Motorsport Park ride days for the second time. Yanni Shaw's right there now, isn't he? He's really taken it to Max.
He's had one of the best race meetings I've seen Yanni Shaw had in the time that I've known him here at Sydney Motorsport Park this weekend, and he's doing a fine job. Look out, here comes Hunter Ford up the inside of Max, on the inside of Yanni, and now trying to get around the outside and up the inside of Yanni Shaw. He does both Crocker and Shaw in 2 turns.
Oh, look how wide Yanni Shaw's gone there off the circuit, but here comes Crocker back at Hunter Ford.
Well, Hunter Ford's lead just then might have been brief, but he knows the championship is still on the line. He carried plenty of pace going through Dunlop Sportsmax turns 4 and 5 to firstly pass Shaw's Kawasaki at 4 and then switching to the inside line on Croker's KTM at 5. But then he lost a little momentum on the exit of 5, allowing Croker to snatch the lead back again.
So at the moment it's Yamaha, KTM, Kawasaki in that order, with Hunter Ford getting up the inside. No, he can't. Look at Yanni Shaw right round the outside of Hunter Ford. Ford decides to push him wide. So Yanni Shaw drops back a little bit, backs off, goes for the inside line. Can't do anything about it though. Condition normal. It's Croker, Ford and Shaw.
Yes, here comes. Look at Hunter Ford trying to push. It's pushed Max Croker wide there, going through the bikehaggle.com hill
very assertive coming through turn 3. In turn, looks like Croker has repaid the favour down into turn 4. Turn 5, it's going to be Hunter Ford round the outside again. We've had 3 or 4 changes in 2 or 3 different turns.
Yeah, they're definitely taking it to each other. These youngsters, aren't they, on their small, sort of small commuting road bikes, you could say there, Lance. Excellent work there by Max Crocker. I couldn't believe that first lap he had from last to first.
Absolutely brilliant. Here comes Yanni Shaw trying to get up the inside of Hunter Ford. Can't do it. So it's still Croker, Ford, Shaw in that order.
Well, there is that 0.4 of a second there, Lance, so it's, anything can happen. It looks like Max Crocker he's going forward to maybe take the title. He's had a great run this year on that KTM RC 390 machine.
Look at Yanni Shaw. He's using up all of the track right over to the yellow line. Hunter Ford up the inside. He takes up the running now. Shaw round the outside of Croker, down into 5. Can't do it this time around.
Yeah, it's going to be the race of the day so far there, Lance, and no love lost between all these 3 riders. They've really taken it to each other on the last lap.
Yanni Shaw tries hard up into bike biz but can't do it. Hunter Ford, has he broken the back of the challenge of Max Croker and Yanni Shaw? He's got a large enough lead to be able to head this field home. He needs to be at least that far in front when he comes out of the final turn. Otherwise, he's going to get run down on the slipstream.
Yes, and he's having a great last lap here. Hunter Ford. Has Max Croker or Yanni Shaw got anything to answer? But here he goes into the back last section of the circuit, coming through Matrias Dampers turns.
Hunter Ford it is, on board machine number 20. The Sport Savvy Australia, Huntington's, New South Wales, Old Australia, Bill Helmets, Ford Brother Racing, Yamaha R3. He's done enough, aggressiveness enough over that last 3.93 kilometres here. Max Croker's going to follow him home in second place. He can't do anything about it, nor can Yanni Shaw, who was very dominant about mid-race.
So here are the results for the final race of 2017. Hunter Ford salvages a tough final round to take the win ahead of your new champion, Max Croker. Yanni Shaw finishes in third ahead of Keogh Watson, Dan Thomas, Ryan Sellen, Shani Pinfold, Andrew Edzer, Mitchell Kuhn and Trent Thompson completing the top 10.
We've had a few troubles over the weekend and it's just great to be on the top step of the championship. But yeah, I couldn't stay with Hunter on that last lap, but second's good enough and it closed the championship and I'm very happy. Like, the KTM worked very well and it was just awesome.
So it's congratulations to Max Croker, your Shock Treatment 400 Supersport champion. And he also takes home a brand new KTM RC 390 with thanks to KTM Australia. Yanni Shaw caps off a great weekend to finish second overall in the standings ahead of Hunter Ford in third, with the top 5 completed by Keogh Watson and Ryan Sellen. Well, we still have many more races to come on the other side of this break, with all the action from the Racers World Pro Twins, Naked Bikes and Super Twins 700s. Welcome back to Sydney Motorsport Park for this, the final round of the Swann Super Series in 2017. Conditions are still rather wet, but that's not going to slow down our next category, which is the Racers World Pro Twins Naked Bikes and Super Twins 700s. Riders are on the track now getting ready for their opening race of the day, but before we get underway, here's the points heading into the final round. Ducati's Heath Griffin holds a slender 1-point lead over Aprilia's Grant Barrett-Thompson going into the final round. Adrian Pierpoint, who is also the leading naked bike competitor, currently sits in third, only 39 points adrift of Griffin, with Ben O'Connor still in contention in fourth aboard his Triumph. With weather conditions playing havoc this weekend, it's going to be a close-fought title race.
It's a hard format, having double points 3 races on the last day. You know, we've had the championship lead since round 1, and you could lose it with one mistake or a mistake by someone else or a mechanical failure. So there's still a lot of pressure on today, even though I've got a reasonable, you know, what you would normally consider a comfortable lead in the championship. So yeah, I'd like to try and extend that a little bit in the first few races of the day, just to give us a little bit more buffer zone for the last one.
I think winning the title is going to be out of the question, to be honest. There's a possibility for second. I've got Adrian Pierpoint in front of me, so having a few little bike dramas coming into the weekend. Got them sort of sorted now, so we'll just make the most of it. Hopefully this weather stays wet, not starting to dry, so see we go.
So here's the grid for race 1. Heath Griffin will lead the field away from pole position, with Con Kokoris and Ben O'Connor joining him on the front row. On the second row we have Alex Mahajevic, the evergreen Adrian Pierpoint and Luke Ruckley. Row 3 is filled out by Adam Henn, Nick Marsh and David Broderick, with Brendan Watson, Ben de Biddef and Greg Mulligan occupying row 4. Row 5 has Niall Doherty, Ian Bruce and Kevin Corcoran, and the 6th row is occupied by Brian Bolster, Aaron Breesy and Grant Barrett-Thompson, with Aaron Smith starting from the 19th and final position.
Ready for the start of event number 1 for the finale of the rounds, Lance.
Yes, the Races World FX Pro Twins Naked Bikes and Super Twins 700. Race 1 over 6 laps. A fairly even start, but probably the best to get away there would have been Con Kokoris in the middle. The 404 is going to get the whole shot. Look at the spray of water as they go down through Races World for the first time.
Yeah, you don't want to be caught all that spray because the visibility is definitely not as good as it was, but look at Brendan Watson getting right up there as well, so he's had a great start to this race.
Yeah, I think Con Kokoris has missed out on the whole shot. Is that in fact Heath Griffin that's out there in front? No, it may well be Ben O'Connor.
Ben O'Connor on his 675 Triumph.
Wait for the mist to settle down. Well, we'll be waiting a long time, won't we? Plenty of action out there on the circuit in the early stages as the riders come over the top of bikehaggle.com.au and down into Dunlop Sports Max for the first of 6 times. It is, in fact, the number 3 of Heath Griffin that's leading. Oh, look how far back Adrian Pierpoint is on machine number 4. He's normally right up at the front, so a lot of riders treating this circuit with a lot of respect early on, Tim, and rightfully so.
Yeah, Heath Griffin a little bit faster than the other riders as they were halfway through the first lap of this race, but a couple of moves back further the field.
Yeah, door open wide and certainly not a great deal of water on the inside of the circuit. It seems to be more on the racing line, doesn't it?
Yeah, that looked like it was Aaron Breesy on overtaking Kevin Corcoran on his MT-09 Yamaha naked machine.
Aaron Breesy doing it too easy in the wet conditions here at Sydney Motorsport Park as Heath Griffin leads down the back straight, the Ipone Oils back straight. Con Kokoris in second place at the moment. And I think you'll find that it is the 65, is that correct, of Ben O'Connor in third place.
Yeah, big mover at the moment. Brendan Watson already moved up 6 positions in the first lap, so he's definitely gaining ground on the front runners as Heath Griffin looks like he's got a little bit of a gap now as they come down the Swann Insurance main straight.
He certainly does. Ben O'Connor in third place, under siege at the moment from Brendan Watson. A little bit circumspect as he comes down the end of the Swann Insurance main straight into Races World, and why wouldn't you be? Look at the spray, the rooster tail. O'Connor up the inside of Kokoris. Kokoris coming back hard down into turn number 2, the Sydney Motorsport Park ride days.
Yeah, and the little 675 Triumph there, Lance, which we mentioned earlier that it would be a little bit easy to ride in the rain compared to Kokoris's booming 1200cc Ducati, but Heath Griffin on his Ducati streeting the field at the moment.
Sorry to interrupt you there, but Ben O'Connor almost high-sided himself, getting onto the gas a little bit early on the exit of turn 3 for the run over the top of bikehaggle.com.au. My heart was in my mouth. I'm sure his was too.
Yeah, it didn't seem to slow him down though, did it? So he maintained that second position on the road. Kokoris is there under pressure now from Brendan Watson. Ben O'Connor having a great dice now with Heath Griffin as they get ready to come down the Swann Insurance main straight through Matrice Dampers.
Well, the number 3 comes out of the Matrice Dampers, but I tell you what, he's got a wider line, a much different line on the 2 machines and the 2 riding styles. But when they come back out onto the Swann Insurance main straight, it seems to equalise itself out. So here we go, half race distance and a 3-way battle for the lead.
Yes, looks like Brendan Watson closed down a little bit then on Ben O'Connor. Heath Griffin using the power of his Ducati to pull a little bit away from Ben O'Connor's triumph there, but these three now definitely in a battle for the lead.
3 different marks, 3 different riding styles, 3 different postures. Round the outside. How do you do that in the wet conditions? Right round the outside at Sydney Motorsport Park ride days. Ben O'Connor, give yourself an uppercut.
Yes, it looked like he failed to put the brakes on there, Lance. That was an amazing move, and now looks like Heath Griffin's going to get mugged by Brendan Watson as well. So up the inside of Brendan Watson is into Dunlop Sportsmax turn 4, so that's in one corner. Lost 2 positions.
Wow, I was just about to make comment about the agility of the 3 different styles of riding, the 3 different bikes, etc. Let's have a look at how he did that. Fantastic. As you mentioned, it's almost like he forgot to put the brakes on. Ben O'Connor, magical on the outside of Heath Griffin. Griffin did nothing wrong there, Tim. He just managed to maintain his racing line, and I think he got as big a fright as anybody at the fact that Ben O'Connor went right round the outside of him.
Yes, and he's going really well at the moment, Ben O'Connor. So we have a 3-cylinder, a 4-cylinder and a twin-cylinder out in front.
Here comes Brendan Watson. He's trying a bold manoeuvre in the overtaking area at the end of the Swann Insurance main straight into Races World, and he takes up the running on lap 5 of 6.
Yeah, keeping the form he had during the warm-up this morning. He was the fastest rider around the wet circuit there, but first of the naked bikes and first outright.
Unbelievable. Great conditions out there for him. He's enjoying it. There's no doubt about that. It really does become an equaliser when the wet weather comes down like this. Some people just shine in the sun, some shine in the rain.
Yes, and a great ride by Brendan. He's lost none of the form he had after coming back from a few years ago.
Yes, the break has certainly not been detrimental to his racing style as he heads out of Dunlop Sportsmax. And for the run-up over to the top of bikebiz.com on his penultimate lap. Oh, how close was that? Ben O'Connor has done that a few times on board his Crosby Speed Shop Triumph Daytona 675R.
Yeah, nearly ran off he did run off the circuit ever so slightly, but lucky to hold on to that machine as they come around Freight Links Transport.
Brendan Watson, he's going to be under a little bit of pressure though, as Ben O'Connor is coming home very hard, especially for the run down Iphone Oil's back straight, leading into the final 2 turns of Matrice Dampers corner.
Yeah, he was 0.8 of a second quicker than Brendan Watson then coming through that last section of the circuit, so he is definitely has not given up to take the lead here, but I think the bigger 1000cc of Brendan Watson will maintain that lead as they come down the straight.
Yeah, there's a hard charge by Ben O'Connor, but he's not going to be able to do it. Watson pumps his fist in the air. He knows that he's got the first 50 points of the day under his belt. Ben O'Connor in second, Heath Griffin third. Alex Mahalovic, Nick Marsh, Con Kokoris, Adam Hend, Aaron Breesy and Adrian Pierpoint, with Kevin Corcoran rounding up the top 10.
Wet's the big horsepower changer, mate, so it equalises the power. I'm a bit down on this bike. It's a little bit slower in a straight line, so I've got to make it all up in the corners, and in the wet you can't get as much power down, so yeah, less horsepower sometimes makes it a bit easier to ride.
Conditions for race 2 were very much the same as they were in race 1, as we have a look at the highlights. Watson once again got the best of the start aboard his Yamaha ahead of the Ducati of Griffin and the Triumph of O'Connor. The race would only last half a lap though before Adam Hend crashed his Triumph on the exit of Dunlop Sportsmax turn 5, facilitating the red flags and a complete race restart. Once the race got underway again, Watson picked up where he left off and sprinted away from Griffin, O'Connor and Con Kokoris. In these tricky conditions, Watson's Yamaha was certainly right at home and he took full advantage of his wet weather capabilities. Not so lucky though was Aaron Brees, who went off at Dunlop Sportsmax and was bogged in the gravel trap, ending his run in the penultimate race of the year. Whilst Watson and Griffin cleared away, the main battle was for third between O'Connor, Kokoris and Alex Mahalovic. O'Connor would eventually break away from the 2 Ducati riders as they tussled for 4th place, with Mahalovic prevailing at race end. Back at the front, Watson was uncatchable and went on to take another win for the weekend. But more importantly, Heath Griffin's 2nd place was more than enough for him to claim the Pro Twins and outright class titles. O'Connor would finish 3rd. So here's the grid for the final race of the season. The front row has Brendan Watson, champ-elect Heath Griffin and Ben O'Connor, whilst on the 2nd row we have Alex Mahalovic, Con Kokoris and Kevin Corcoran. Ben de Biddeffe occupies the third row with Mark Wall and Brian Bolster. Whilst on row 4 we have Adrian Pierpoint, David Broderick and Niall Doherty. And the final 2 rows have Aaron Brees, Adam Hend, Nick Marsh, Greg Mulligan and Grant Barrett-Thompson.
Third and final race of the day for the Races World FX Pro Twins, Naked Bikes and Super Twins in the starters' hands. Who gets the best of the start? I think you'll find Brendan Watson got a great one. He's closest to screen on the left-hand side. He swoops across the inside of the new champion himself, Heath Griffin. He's going to confuse us with the number 1 plate on there throughout this race. Round the outside he goes, though, down into turn 2, Sydney Motorsport Park ride days, and takes up the running.
Yeah, nothing to lose for Heath Griffin in this race, is there? Because he's already wrapped up the Pro-Win Championship, as the number 1 plate suggests. But Brendan Watson got a great start there, but Heath Griffin, he's really taken it to the other riders now in the first lap.
Ah, look at the lead that he's got. Goodness me, what a great lead. Brendan Watson back in second place. I think you'll find Con Kokoris on the 404 in third place. Ben O'Connor.
Yep.
Adrian
That was, I think that was, can't quite see who that was there. It was one of the Ducati Panigale riders.
Yeah, we'll try and pick up who that was. Was it Kevin Corcoran or Ben de Biddeffe? I'm not quite sure.
I think it could have even been Mihailovic as well. So
Mihailovic, yeah, Alex Mihailovic as well. Anyway, we'll see what happens there as Con Kokoris tries to get up the inside there of Brendan Watson down in turn 9, Freightlix Transport. Look at the lead that our new champion and race leader has, Ben O'Connor. This 4-way battle for second, third, fourth and fifth placing being held down by Watson. Kokoris in the second of them. Ben O'Connor up the inside, and Adrian Pierpoint watching with open eyes.
There a much better performance there by Adrian too there, Lance.
Yep, much better performance. Watson there slapping inside the left-hand side of his bike. I think he was knowing that Adrian Pierpoint was coming up the inside of him much faster, getting the slipstream and what have you, and didn't want him to go to the right-hand side. And look at that, he's up into second place as Adrian Pierpoint.
Yeah, Ben O'Connor's been relegated to 4th place, Brendan Watson into 5th.
Let's have a look at a replay of what happened there in turn number 5, just coming into that. The last of these riders. Ah, yeah, bad luck there. Ben de Biddeffe, I'm pretty sure that's him. It looks like him anyway. Oh no, it may well have been Alex. You might have been right, Alex Mihailovic.
Yes, I think Ben de Biddeffe's got the older style Ducati, and but Mihailovic's got the newer Panigale version.
Out of turn 7 and 8 down into turn number 9. Here comes Con Kokoris trying to get up the inside of Ben O'Connor. He can't do that. In the meantime, this battle has allowed the number 4, the Aprilia Tuono of Adrian Pierpoint, to consolidate his position in second place.
Yeah, Brendan Watson's losing a bit of ground there, but to the front runners. So he's sitting in 5th spot at the moment and losing a little bit of ground.
Well, Heath Griffin it is that's leading quite comfortably and proving that number 1 is where he belongs, not only on the circuit right now, but for the series of 2017.
Yes, and look at the time by Adrian Pierpoint too, Lance, only half a second slower than Heath Griffin, so definitely liking the drier track surface than the wet early in the day.
Yeah, he faltered a little bit in races 1 and 2, didn't he? Oh, somebody's gone straight ahead at the end of the straight that leads down into turn number 2.
I think that could be Kokoris.
Kokoris, yep.
At number 404, that is Con Kokoris, so he's run off the circuit, which has brought Brendan Watson up to 4th position.
Well, if he manages to get on the podium, he'll have to speak Greek again to Andrew, because I don't think he'll be able to speak English, at least not legally over the airwaves.
Here's Adrian Pierpoint, that's Ben O'Connor going into Sydney Motorsport Park ride days, but here comes Con Kokoris, and he's run straight off the circuit, lucky to keep it upright. Oh, just made it onto the grass.
Could you imagine if he wasn't able to brake hard enough and stop it on the concrete, get onto the grass and pick up 10 kilometres an hour? Ouch, that could have hurt. So they're heading down into turn 9 for the final time. This is the battle for second and third placing. In the meantime, our race leader, our new champion of the Races World FX Pro Twins Naked Bike and Super Twins, proudly wearing number 1 in this 18th and final race of the season. The Russell Symes and Company Ducati Panigale of Heath Griffin. He can be proud. He can stand up on the podium very shortly and wave that left-hand finger up in the air as number 1. In second and third, it's going to go right down to the wire. Adrian Pierpoint looks like he's done enough on the Aprilia Tuono to take second. Third will be taken out by Ben O'Connor. Con Kokoris, Brendan Watson, Kevin Corcoran, David Broderick, Niall Doherty, Ben de Biddef and Alex Mahajevic, unfortunately not finishing, falling foul of the conditions in 10th place.
Yeah, great. That's a cherry on top today. You know, I've had to ride within myself a little bit this weekend and had the championship sort of sitting on one shoulder the whole time with double points today. So having wrapped it up a race early, it was nice to go out in those sort of tricky, patchy conditions and win the race. And I sort of, it was important to me to do that to make it feel as though I deserved the championship as well.
Heath Griffin is a relieved but very happy man right now. He is your champion in both the Pro Twins and the outright championship category. The wet races and double points certainly helped Brendan Watson. He finishes second in the overall championship ahead of Adrian Pierpoint, who is your naked bike champion. And congratulations as well goes to Brian Bolster, who wins the Super Twins 700s. Well, the 2017 Swann Super Series might be almost done, but we still have more racing coming after the break with the Freightlinks Transport Formula Oz class. Thanks for joining us here at Sydney Motorsport Park for our continued final round coverage of the Swann Super Series. Our next category that's about to hit the track is the Freightlinks Formula Oz class for B, C and D grade riders, and with conditions still playing havoc, they'll no doubt be looking after themselves when it comes to their safety. The same attitude applies to our series partner, bikebiz.com.au. With their great range of bike apparel, it's second to none.
Hi, I'm Dan from Bike Biz in Granville. I'm the spare parts accessories manager. So I've brought out the Alpine Star Supertech R boot and the Alpine Star SMX Plus boot. The Supertech R is the top of the line race boot, super comfortable, very protective, and the SMX Plus is very similar but more to be used on the road. The Supertech R's got an inner bootie which has got torsion bars through the ankle as well, so it really stops your ankle from twisting or turning in the ways that it shouldn't. Look, I wear them myself. They are super comfortable, very easy to walk around in, but very protective as well because I have crashed.
And if I want to grab myself a pair?
Come down to Bike Biz at 274 Parramatta Road in Granville or 7 Great Western Highway in Parramatta, or you can get it online at www.bikebiz.com.au.
Here's the points coming into the final round, and firstly in the B grade standings, Harry Boyajian sits atop on 330 points, 31 clear of former leader Brett Kitchen, followed closely by Carlos Rendon. Mark Nassif wrapped up the C-Grade Championship in round 5 and can relax going into the final round today. And in the D-Grade standing, it's still a tight contest between Will Stewart and Shane Ryan, with Josh Kavanagh in third place. Before we pick up the action with race 2, this is what happened in a wet opening race earlier in the morning. Having dominated proceedings in round 5, Andrew Thompson picked up where he left off and led the field away ahead of Carlos Rendon and a fast-starting Somfort Rosner. Thompson's time out in the lead would only be brief when Rosner slipped past the BMW on the exit of Sydney Motorsport Park Ride Days Turn 2. The Yamaha rider had opened up a modest gap as they approached the end of the opening lap, but his bike cried enough at Latrice dampers and allowed Thompson to reclaim the race lead, with Brett Kitchen moving up into second place. Kitchen would drop back to third mid-race following a mistake by the former series leader, allowing Thompson and Rendon to battle it out. On the penultimate lap, the electrics on Thompson's BMW briefly malfunctioned and caused him to slow down, allowing Rendon to take the lead. But Thompson managed to get the problem solved quickly and lost very little time, climbing back to the rear of the Yamaha's tail and slipstreaming past him on the run to the checkered flag and taking out race 1. Rendon and Kitchen were second and third respectively. So here's how they'll line up for race 2. Andrew Thompson will once again lead off the front row from pole position, ahead of Carlos Rendon and Brett Kitchen. Row 2 is Reece Belling, Dane Purcell and Mario Gonzalez. The third row is occupied by Shane Ryan, Andy Fisher and Josh Kavanagh. Then it's Daniel Ayash, Will Stewart and David Birch on row 4. Michael Witchart, Stephen Rossini and Harry Boyajian line up on row 5, whilst on the 6th and final row we have Dean Hasler, Mark Nassif and Philip Burke.
Getting ready to turn the red lights off for the start of race 2 for the Franklin Transport Formula Oz class.
Carlos Rendon gets a good start, so too does the 55 of Brett Kitchen. But look out, here comes Reece Belling off the second row of the grid. He gets the whole shot and leads them through Races World for the first time.
Once again, that little 600 there, Lance. It's easier to get off the line than the high-powered 1000cc superbikes. So he's had a great start there, Belling on his R6.
Back in third place is Brett Kitchen.
Yeah, he's had a good start as well, Brett Kitchen, but Carlos Rendon is there as well. So it is Carlos Rendon in 4th spot, Brett Kitchen in 3rd, and it looks like he's at Thompson in 2nd spot.
Yeah, doing a good job there is Thompson, getting up as close as he possibly can in the early stages. But what about the agility and the nimbleness of Belling's number 61? That little Yamaha R6, the LXI Racing Trilec Services R6 Yamaha of Reece Belling from Victoria. Certainly got the whole shot in no uncertain terms, didn't he, Tim?
Yeah, he sure did there, but very tight coming through bikebiz.com there for a couple of the riders. Leg on the ground there, or foot on the ground. They're trying to maintain stability.
Second place, hounding him down, is Andrew Thompson on board the Cutright Concrete Soaring and Drilling BMW S1000RR. A much heavier and bigger board machine than our race leaders at the moment.
Yeah, 2 BMWs in 2nd and 3rd, with 2 Yamahas in 4th and 5th. But Belling is another one of the riders. A few riders this weekend doing double duties, with Belling riding in the 600s as well.
Carlos Rendon there on the stay upright Yamaha R1 under a bit of pressure from Mario Gonzalez on his made-in Turin pizza bar. Yamaha R1 for 4th and 5th placing respectively. Brett Kitchen, he splits the front 2 runners with that 4th place battle on his Accountable IT Group Enterprise 55 Technologies BMW 1000 RR.
Oh, someone running very wide there. Got numbers at number 25. I think that was Rossini, getting a bit keen, coming around turn 1, getting ready to go into Races World.
Goodness me, you don't want to go too wide down there in Races World, do you?
No.
At breakneck speed, hitting the dirt is tough enough, let alone moist conditions like we've got today.
Yes, a very fast corner. We've lost one of the riders. That was a huge accident there coming out of turn 3. It looks like the bike's gone over.
Oh, Mario Gonzalez, he's okay, but the bike's not.
Mario Gonzalez is, I think that's going straight to the wreckers, that one.
There it is, just catching it in the background. He's okay, but the bike, goodness me, hopefully it's only superficial damage with cowling and fairing and all that sort of thing. Even so, though, Tim, that'll be a little bit expensive.
Yes, and that's part of the circuit that you mentioned earlier too, Lance, that turn 3 area. Yeah, a little bit wide there. Well, here comes Kitchen up the inside of Thompson, so he's lost 2 spots in a couple of corners there.
A little bit unstable, isn't he? He's not real comfortable at the moment, is Thompson. Yeah, he's going to lose another one there by the looks of it. Carlos Rendon up the inside of him as well. I wonder if Thompson has a tyre issue, Tim.
Yeah, it looks like he's got some sort of problem, because it's after dominating the first race. You wouldn't think that here comes Kitchen up the inside there. A big move by Kitchen, and looks like Rendon was, he balked Thompson a little bit then. Yeah, 150.64 Carlos Rendon, fastest rider on the circuit at the moment. Another overtaking, a great battle. Here comes Thompson. He's having another go through turn 1 at Races World.
Yeah, so he's now catapulted himself back up into 3rd place, podium position. Rendon wants to come back and challenge that, though.
Yeah, Rendon's not going to give up there, but a great ride by Belling. But here comes the overtaking manoeuvre once more. Looks like Thompson got a bit of extra drive there. Better under brakes into Sydney Motorsport Park ride days.
Carlos Rendon just went a little bit too wide at the end of the Swann Insurance main straight and through turn 1 Races World.
Thompson still there having a big up the inside of Kitchen.
Oh, Rendon's gone wide as well, Tim. He outbroke himself.
Yeah, he's got All the work to do now, hasn't he, Carlos Rendon, with Kitchen and Thompson out in front, but Belling's got to be the ride of his life so far, with only 1.5 laps remaining.
Well, with all of this battling behind him, it's certainly to his advantage, isn't it?
Yes, it'd be good to get one over the bigger machines, but here's a look at that pass there by Andrew Thompson, and look at Rendon, foot down. He's actually outbrake himself, run wide.
He knew before even getting into the start of that corner that he'd gone too deep in there and missed his braking marker.
Very defensive line onto the Swann Insurance main straight. Has he got the power to stay out in front of the two bigger machines, especially Andrew Thompson?
Well, Billing it is that leads the race down here, but here comes a BMW up the inside. He gets him right on the line. Thompson, 0.182 of a second ahead of Belling, with Kitchen having to settle in third place. Carlos Rendon, Shane Ryan, David Birch, Dane Purcell, Josh Kavanagh, Stephen Rosany and Daniel Ayash complete the first page of our results.
Yeah, I had a drama on the last lap down the straight when Carlos passed me. The bike just cut out. We had the problem yesterday too in the second race. The bike just cut out. We had no power at all. So we got a problem there.
So here's the grid for the final race of the season in the Freightlink's Formula Oz class. The front row has Andrew Thompson, Reece Belling and Brett Kitchen, whilst row 2 has Carlos Rendon, Shane Ryan and David Birch. Dane Purcell, Josh Kavanagh and Stephen Rossini occupy the third row, followed by Daniel Ayash, Somfort Rosner and Will Stewart on row 4. The fifth row consists of Harry Boyagian, Michael Witchard and Dean Hasler. And on the sixth and final row we have Philip Burke, Ash DeBacker and Andy Fisher.
In the starter's hands, 6 laps away from finding out who will win this third and final race of the day in the Freightlink's Transport Formula Oz. On the inside of the front row, Andrew Thompson got a reasonable sort of a start, but then got up in the air. It was Carlos Rendon that got the best of it though.
Yes, a very good start by Carlos Rendon, I'm suspecting. So it's let's see what actually happens. Here we go. Look at Brett Kitchen's up there in third position. Andrew Thompson's up there as well in second.
Brett Kitchen up into third. No, make that fourth place.
Fourth place now. That's Belling in third place. He's having a great ride in the Formula Oz class on his R6 600cc Yamaha.
Up over the top of bikehaggle.com.au, down into Dunlop Sportsmax for the first time. Your race leader is Carlos Rendon.
He has to be very close in the points if Carlos wins, with the 50 points up for grabs for this race.
A little bit further back in the field, but not too far from the front, is Somfort Rosner on the Cutting Edge Racing Team Yamaha R1. He's done a great job to get up there into about 6th or 7th place.
Yeah, he's on that red and blue livered Yamaha there with the red number.
7th, I think, isn't it? He's in, yes.
Yes, he's in. Moved up to 6 now in front of Ryan.
Yes.
But it looks like at the moment it's all Carlos Rendon. Andrew Thompson is right behind him.
Did you see the wriggle and the body language, the movement of the bike? He was almost off it. Well, you picked it in one. Carlos Rendon officially given a 15-second penalty, adjudicated by the judges of fact here at Sydney Motorsport Park to have jumped the start. So he may be leading the race, but he's 15 seconds further back in the official results.
This is going to fall into Brett Kitchen's lap early. Look at Andrew Thompson right through the overtake him through race as well, turn 1. Brett Kitchen's now moved into third spot on the road. So he's having a good rise. Rosner's moved up to 4th, although the Birch has had a bit of an issue going through turn 1.
Well, with Harry Boyagian being back in 7th place at the moment, Brett Kitchen up into 2nd, it could well be the fact that Brett Kitchen takes out the championship because of that.
And here's a replay of the race start from Carlos Rendon's Yamaha. You can see quite clearly that he is just a tad too eager to get himself in front of his opposition, and that will quite likely cost him the championship.
Just looking at the difference in points. Get the abacus out. Yeah, there's 17 points difference, and I think currently on the positions they're at the moment is 15 points difference. So he needs to be able to either win the race or for Boyagian to drop back by 1 for Brett Kitchen to be able to win the championship.
Yeah, Boyagian's moved 1 up the field as well, so it's he's got in front of Reece Belling. He's sitting in 6th spot at the moment. Yes, there's Birch, number 48. He's also another B grader sitting in 5th spot. He's just done his fastest lap of 40.0.
Well, there's no doubt that Brett Kitchen can still hold his head up very high because he's done what he needed to do, and that's finish ahead of Boyajian and leave the rest up to the racing gods.
Yes, Boyajian's there. He is in front of Belling now. So he's moved up further up in the road to 6th position. Rosner just coming across the line in 5th. No, can't see what position Rosner's in at the moment. No, he's in 4th position, sorry, but so he's going to get some valuable points.
Actually, you'll end up in 3rd because remembering Rendon's got that 15-second penalty. So on the road, we see Andrew Thompson, Carlos Rendon, Brendan Kitchen, I beg your pardon. Then we have Rosner, Birch and Boyajian. They're the top 6. However, in terms of points that they will score and the official results because of the 15-second penalty, it will be Thompson, Kitchen, Rosner, Birch, Boyajian and Belling as your top 6 runners.
Yeah, it looks like Rendon will finish about 10th position in the points here, but Boyajian and Birch having a great dice at the moment, just overtaking each other through Sydney Motorsport Park ride days turns 2 and 3.
Round turn number 9 is Carlos Rendon. No, I beg your pardon, that is Andrew Thompson. Out of Freight Links Transport and down the back straight, Ipone Oils is our race leader.
There goes Belling up the inside of Boyajian, so he's dropped down 1 position. Can he get in front of Belling and try and take it right to Birch to consolidate the championship?
In the meantime, checkered flag on display. Andrew Thompson, the winner of our last Freight Links Transport Formula Oz race of the season, takes it out 3.78 seconds ahead of Carlos Rendon, who will be penalised 15 seconds for jumping the start.
And with Brett Kitchen moving up into 2nd overall, it's been confirmed that he's done enough points-wise to win the Formula Oz Championship. Somfret Rosner finishes in 3rd ahead of David Birch, Harry Boyajian, Rhys Belling, Carlos Rendon, Daniel Ayash, Shane Ryan, and completing the top 10 is Dane Purcell.
Yeah, look, I think you're right. I think Carlos was the closest one to me. I think from memory it was something like 40 points behind. He finished 1 place in front of me this morning, and I finished a couple of places in front of him this afternoon. So saving falling off in the last race, fingers crossed. Giddy up, you know.
Congratulations to Brett Kitchen for taking out a tightly fought contest in the Formula Oz B grade, 41 points ahead of Carlos Rendon, with Andrew Thompson in 3rd. In the C grade standings, Mark Nassif made it all his own this season, finishing almost 100 points clear of Rhys Belling, with Tom Taparis a creditable 3rd. And in the D grade standings, Shane Ryan managed to overhaul Will Stewart to take out the title by 23 points. Josh Kavanagh finished the season in 3rd. And so after 6 rounds of racing, the checkered flag falls on the 2017 Swann Series. We thank our naming rights sponsor, Swann Insurance, as well as our series sponsors across all of our categories. A huge thanks also to Tim Graham, Becky Lamb, Andrew Rawl, and our entire broadcast team for their tireless efforts. Last but not least, we'd like to thank you for watching throughout the season and hope you can join us again in 2018. But for now, it's goodbye.